Welcome to this space where love is true. Open hearts and minds, there's a place for you. Gather round together, let your spirit play. In this community, we'll find our way. Every soul a story, a journey to unfold, seeking out the wisdom, the truths of new and old. We release our fears, let the light shine bright. In the warmth of our spirit, we ignite the night. Arise, arise, through awareness we will grow, taking responsibility for what's mine, opens up the flow. Inspire living happens from the inside out, knowing spirit is all, washes away any doubt. Everyone evolves in their own perfect way. Let us hold hands as we proclaim. Arise. Steps of faith we take with courage in our hearts. Every voice a chorus, every smile a part. From every corner of our city we come anew, with open arms and spirits to embrace what's true. Feel the energy rising, the joy in the air, as we sing our song of love. Let go of despair. Here at the center, there is a seat just for you, sharing in the laughter while we co-create the new. Rise, arise, through awareness we will grow, taking responsibility for what's mine, opens up the flow. Inspire living happens from the inside out, knowing spirit is all, washes away any doubt. Everyone evolves in their own perfect way. Let us hold hands as we proclaim. Arise. Together we explore the realms of the divine, unfolding to our potential, weaving hearts sublime. Every journey matters, every truth we share. We lift each other higher, showing how we care. So hold on to the vision, let your bliss lead the way. Live every single moment, let love fill your day. As we rise up together, a symphony of grace. Find the light within us, in the sacred space. So come one, come all, to this place of peace. In our unity, may your worries cease. With open hearts and open minds, let's embrace the call. Within the Center for Spiritual Living, there's a place for us all. Arise, arise, let spirit be your guide. Welcome to your spiritual home. It's so great to be alive. Arise.
Hello. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Happy Easter. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in St. George, Utah. We are really happy you're with us today or tomorrow or sometime this week. We are a welcoming community here, and our purpose is to arise, which you were listening to that song. It's a great tune involving awareness, radical responsibility, inside out living. Spirit is all there is, and everyone is evolving. That's really joyous. So if you get a chance, if you didn't hear that song, go back and earlier before it starts and take a listen to it. Our vision as CSL St. George is a community-focused center, actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and friends so that all may live their best lives. And we wish that for all. Our mission at the center is to be open, inclusive, and evolving spiritual community that supports its purpose and vision through these following actions: sacred wisdom celebrations, empowering transformative education, youth and young adult programs, dynamic music ministry, community inreach, and community outreach. And that's what we're doing right now. We're reaching out. Today's service team is the following. Behind the scenes, making everything run and work, is Marina Anderson, handling the tech. My name is Alan Stanley. I'll be your host and also sing a couple songs with you today. Our invocation will be offered by Bill Smith, one of our practitioners, and our reading will be offered by Charles Smith, no relations. And of course, our message will be provided by our special minister and leader, Rev Joe Kovach. So sit back and relax. April is a practice of becoming, and we're going to be focusing on those subjects through the month. There's a Zoom meeting today after the service, so on the hour. So that would be 12 o'clock Mountain Time. And you can join us. You can email, if you can't make it, email your questions to Reverend Joe at CSL St. George. You can go on our website. It's real easy, and right there on the first page is the Zoom links. And you just click on that and you can join us. Our next in-person meeting will be next Sunday, April 12th, with, of course, Reverend Kovach, and be titled The Path of Vulnerability. And we hope you can join us there. The details about all these meetings are on the website and in your newsletter. Our practitioners are available all the time. They'd love to be with you and offer prayer with you. You can contact them at CSLSG.org/about, and somebody will get back a hold of you, and you can all join in prayer. That's what they're here for. And we have a little a bookstore that we're developing in the back on our in-person services. It's on a table in the back. You can go in the back, look around, browse a little bit. If you see something you want, you can borrow it, or you can leave a little love offering in there. And if you get done with it, bring it back. And if you have something pertinent to what we are teaching and studying at the center, then of course we're welcome you to bring your books and lay them out. We just all like to share. We have a workshop going on called Woo Woo. Do you speak woo woo? That's facilitated by Sue Fulmer. And it's quite successful. We get a lot of people showing up for that. So the next one will be on April 26th after the service, somewhere around 12:30. It lasts about an hour and a half. So you're welcome to come join that. We have another class coming up that's going to begin on April 14th, and that'll be led by Charles Smith. And it's pertaining to financial peace, diversity, university, and is studying how to budget and how to get control of your finances. It's really a great class. Our annual meeting is also on the next coming Sunday meeting. It's April 12th. It'll be from 12:30 to 1:30. You must be a member to vote, but everybody's welcome to come see how things are working. There's more details in the newsletter that if you're not receiving, send us an email. We'll get it to you. Now it's time for our musician to come on. Oh. Hello, I'm Alan. We'll sing a little, slow down a little bit here and sing a little Karen Drucker song. You're welcome, join in, please. the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment, there is love, sweet love, sweet love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love, I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. And I rest and trust and breathe. I know that in the stillness of this moment, I am peace, I am love, I am peace, I am love, I am. And now we're going to bring Charles on to offer our reading today. Hello, Charles.
Good morning, Alan, and good morning, everybody. Beautiful music as always, Alan. But for the reading, today's reading is from Time to Get in Touch with Ourselves, an essay by Jonathan Rosenblum. He's a widely read Jewish columnist. And in this essay, Rosenblum considers individuality through the lens of the Jewish holy day of Yom Hadim, the Jewish Judgment Day, and the Torah, the biblical book of Moses, the first 5 books of the Bible. He also mentions the Talmud, which is the entire body of Jewish civil and ceremonial law. In this essay, he says, in part, arguably, the full-blown concept of individuality is found for the first time in the autobiography of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, generally considered the greatest writer in the German language. For only in that work do we find for the first time an awareness that had the author been born 25 years earlier or later, or in a different place, he would have been a completely different person. In other words, the totality of the circumstances of his life helped make him the unique individual that he was. Long before Goethe, the concept of individuality, the idea that each person has a quality of character that distinguishes him or her from every other person ever born or who ever will be born is found throughout the Torah. The term, from the day that he became self-aware, appears not infrequently in the Talmud as marking a distinct stage in a person's development, the point at which he no longer views himself as an extension of his parents, but rather as a distinct being with his own thoughts, emotions, nature. That nature is innate. Thus, the most basic Torah instruction to an educator is educate the youth according to his nature. Nothing deprives a person of a sense of achievement or accomplishment more than the absence of a well-developed sense of self as being a unique being. Without that self-awareness, he is just going along with the stream, following the accepted societal path, but not expressing himself. That which we do because someone else taught us to do so, or because it was the done thing, confers no merit. That merit only comes when we make the learning our own, the product of our own exercise of our own free will. In short, only one with a well-developed sense of himself as exercising his own free will and not just going along with the opinion of others can proclaim God king. One is enough, but that one must be a choosing being. What each of us seeks on Yom Hadim, the Jewish Judgment Day, is an additional year to fulfill our mission. But even to make that request, we must first have some idea of what our mission is, what it is we are trying to achieve. Without that, we have no idea what we are asking, how we are doing, or what we need to do better. Achieving such self-awareness is one of life's central tasks and most difficult. It cannot be achieved without deep contemplation. Yet contemplation, self-reflection of any type, is increasingly beyond our comprehension. Not only does social media render us prey to the opinions of others, not the urgings of our own souls, but even when it is not polluting our minds, it distracts us from any serious ability to think. When one gets in the habit of being distracted on a regular basis, that too easily becomes a default mode. Most of us could benefit from a resolve to create time to think seriously about who we are and what makes us unique. No one can discover our individuality for us, for no one has the same access to our inner beings that we do. Let us take the time to do so. And that's the reading.
Thank you, Charles. That was a good reading. A lot of little nuggets to think about in there.
Yes, I like it.
All right. So I am Bill Smith. I am one of the practitioners at our center, as you can see on the display. But and I'm here for today's invocation. But first of all, I just want to wish everyone a happy Easter, and thank you for joining us today. So as we come together for this celebration, for this inquiry into the practice of becoming, I know that we do that in the only presence there is, in the presence of the one that is always there, the true power of this universe, the one that created it all and keeps it moving, keeps it being. I am one with this power, just as I know that each and every one of us is. I know that today's focus on being helps me to understand how I can become more authentic, as Charles' reading emphasized, how I can become more of myself, and how I can move forward and become less of a doer and more of a beer. I am grateful for this knowledge. I am grateful for what Rev Joe is about to impart to me. I am grateful for all of the wonderful teachings in this science of mind, and I am grateful for a wonderful Easter Sunday. I just release my word, knowing that it is so and it is good. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Take it away.
I'm gonna. So we moving forward too. As Karen Drucker says, one step at a time. Small steps. It's better than no steps. I'm taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step, gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got so far to go. Taking one small step instead of looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step, gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got that far to go. I've got dreams filled with passion. I've got fears that tend to pop up in my way, but I've got power deep inside my soul. When I look too far and lose my way, all it lets me know is to take one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. Taking one small step gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got that far to go. I got off the track, couldn't find my way back. When I looked inside, the truth that could not be denied. I was making it harder than it had to be, just pushing and shoving until I found the key. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step, gets me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got that far to go. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. I'm taking one small step, keeps me closer to my goal. I'm taking one small step instead of just looking at the mountain. And it won't seem like I've got that far to go. Oh, it won't seem like I've got that far to go.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Perfect song. I love that.
Thank you.
And it's amazing how once again the reading and your songs just perfectly align. And we'll just keep that going. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Reverend Joe.
And I want to wish everybody, like Bill Smith did, a happy Easter. And I love how, again, our philosophy just welcomes in all different faiths and wisdom and sources of wisdom. And it was, again, a wonderful reading by Charles. And we're going to shift today. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but I did shift the title of today's talk to Through the Cross, the Awakening of Consciousness. And part of this is because my history, I was raised Roman Catholic, and even Ernest Holmes early on would say that we were of a Christian faith, although he did take it metaphysically. And so I thought, why not dive into it? Because hundreds of millions of people are celebrating the crucifixion and resurrection of Yeshua. But at the same time, I want to take a look at that, of how we can use this in an everyday idea. And so if you're not sure what I'm talking about, when you see something like this, which is the cross and what they call Jesus on there, and that he was crucified. And the whole reason was to simplify it, really. He was trying to teach love. He was trying to empower people through a different philosophy that was kind of, how would I say it, challenging the hierarchical structures of the time. And so, of course, in other words, if I know you understand your own power, then I lose power over you. And back then, that's not the way things were run. And so they eventually, as the story goes in the Bible, he was crucified on the cross. And so many people look at the idea of the crucifixion as an old story about suffering. And I want to shift that to a transformational story. And the idea, too, that this idea of crucifixion is something that didn't just happen a couple thousand years ago, but is happening to you and me on a rather regular basis if we understand and look at it in a metaphysical way. What might that way be? Well, I don't know about you, but when you live long enough in life, unexpected changes and challenges happen to us. And they offer an opportunity to change. And usually it doesn't feel good in the moment. And when I say change, we're talking about change of identity, of who we think we are. We may call it ego, but that's really more of a psychological term. I like to look at that as a personality, as, again, who we think we are in the moment, and again, in the moment. And when challenges arise, it causes us to ask ourselves, who am I if I change? Like, this is questioning this part of me, and this is who I think I am. And what if I'm not anymore? And so I've shared this a couple of times over the past couple months, which is shifting. Well, initially, let me just say this. Initially, when these things happen, when we're untrained, we're looking at and asking the question, why? Why is this happening to me? And through our teaching and through spiritual maturity, we're going to shift that to understanding that there's something being wanting to be released, that there's part of ourselves that is evolved beyond this identity and wants some change. It wants the freedom to be. And so I want to look today at the crucifixion as a technology of consciousness, shifting again from that, why is life happening to me, and to understanding that life is happening through me. And so, again, the crucifixion rarely represents the death of a particular part of our identity, right? It's not the death of the body, which is generally what we see in the cross that I showed you. And I don't want to think of it as the idea that life is punishing us. We do believe in the law of cause and effect, right? And at the same time, though, if we're looking at it from a place of punishment, then we're looking at it from a place of, like we would say here, ego, as of lack. And in science of mind, what we understand about suffering is that we're coming from a place of fear, because we're identifying with the limitations in our lives. We're identifying and giving power to the circumstances that are showing up. And we're looking at it to us in that scenario. But if we look at the cross as a technology of consciousness, it's really offering us a way to look at ourselves and recognize that there is now a version of ourselves, that is seeking greater fulfillment. Okay, I'm trying to remember, how did Walsh say it? There's a grander version of the greatest vision you've ever had about yourself, seeking to be known, right? And so when these opportunities show up for us, again, they're difficult. It's not like, I stubbed my toe and I have an opportunity to, fix the carpet or move the furniture. And what happens initially is we fight it. We try to fix it with our small self, thinking, oh, this happened and I know what to do and I've seen this before. And yet what will happen is that challenge kind of keeps showing up in a greater and greater way. In essence, if we're coming from fear and lack, it's more disturbing us, and it just causes us to ask, why is this happening to me, in a greater, angrier way? But eventually, when we allow this change to happen, it's not because we're inspired, it's because we're exhausted. It's because it's like, I don't know what else to do. And finally, we open our minds to welcome in that something new. And so I may have said this story before, but I think it's a perfect timing is, I was working at a job and it was very fulfilling in one scenario, particularly in the beginning. It was shifting me and I was working in a new school and initially hired as a counselor and test coordinator. And I just kept getting more roles. And initially it was awesome. It was, I was seen of kind of a greater level of helping. I was considered leadership and I never saw myself as a leader. So there was some positive identity changing there that I was open to and ready for a little easier. And yet as time went on, it just got more and more and more. And initially, because I was comfortable, I forced myself to stay, right? So I felt the yearn for change, like we talked about, but I tried to fix it through my small identity, right? I wanted to control it. And, who would I be without this? And what would I replace this with? And there's that control part. And then new leadership came in and I wasn't part of that team anymore. And so now I know our teaching. I've seen the positive, inspiring movies like, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity. And at first, low level, that's where I was. I was like, oh, okay, if this is happening now, that means there's something greater waiting for me. But it took some time. And so there were many new questions that emerged, like what had presented itself? And was that something I wanted to be? And how did that align with the identity I thought I was? Even the shift from being more of a rebellion to authority to now I'm the authority figure, one of the authority figures, there's a lot of stuff going on inside. And this was my cross at the time. This was that question to me of, it took about a year to shift from why is this happening to me through what is trying to evolve through me. And in the beginning, from fear, I looked at it as punishment. And then now years later, I fully look at it as an absolute need and necessity for me to become who I am today. And so one of the messages of today, other than surrendering the false self for more of the truth of who we are, would be that the cross is not about, the crucifixion is not about just death. It's not an end. It's where we begin to shift ourselves from the illusion of what we believe is true to spiritual truth. And it's funny, this just happened to me last night. So I have a modern idea of kind of how we try to control things. I logged into one of my Gmail accounts and it's like, you're running out of room. And I'm like, So I was noticing the first thing I did was kind of go through the photos and movies of just like, they were mistakes, they're of people's feet or they're off center or whatever. And, after I did that, it didn't make a whole lot of a change. And then I was realizing, kind of aligning it with today's message is, life isn't asking us to make these small little things. It's the 4,000 other things that were in there that, I thought I need to hold on to and whatnot. And in reality, kind of, again, looking at our own transformation, when it happens, we're not looking for little bits of maybe changing our sneakers or our purse. It's about shifting a major world point of view of cosmology, of how do we see life itself. And so I think, again, the first stage would be to shift from again, surrendering who we think we are. I think that would be the first stage of this technology. But I don't want to think it's that easy, because there are times, obviously, that, well, not times, there is pain involved. There is some level at first, we would call it suffering, but it's pain. And I think Jesus or Yeshua gave a good example where he was in pain and being mocked and so on for who he knew he was, right? He was what we would call an enlightened being. He recognized what we call Christ consciousness, which is the understanding, in his terms, I and the Father are one. We would recognize that as oneness, that we are of the whole. It's not me and God, me and the universe, me and nature. It's I am of that. I am I love the way Ernest Holmes puts it, I am a center point of divine consciousness. And so in the story in the Bible, Jesus said to them, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, early on, I remember when I was a kid, I saw that as weakness. It's just like, oh, how could you forgive them? Like, look what they've done to you, and the pain and the suffering and so forth. Now I understand it as a spiritual maturity, and I'm going to even go beyond that, as really spiritual mastery. Because what that really did was he was shifting his attention on the outer condition, the conditions, his circumstances, looking through that. Because if he's looking through that in pain and fear, then he's going to see the lack and limitation and the hate and the anger. But he didn't. He came from divine love. And that is necessary for transformation. He recognized the wholeness, he recognized God in essence through these people. Now, here's in science of mind, the attitude would be that we're not excusing the behavior, okay, but we are freeing our own consciousness around the circumstance, right? Science of mind says we are not bound by our conditions, but we are bound to or by our reactions, our emotions about those decisions. And that's a key understanding. And so it's not as if, I'm sure, while he's up there and being mocked and made fun of and in pain, that being human, I'm sure he felt some other attitudes, but he shifted it to the truth. He realized that this is temporary. And he realized that as a teacher of deep love and forgiveness, this was a divine opportunity, right? Many of us have people or know people who just are unwilling to let go, unwilling to forgive over events that have happened often years and often decades ago. And I get it. It can be difficult depending on our focus. Forgiveness, and this is key, especially as a counselor, because I work with a lot of teenage minds, and forgiveness is not making the behavior correct, right? Forgiveness is seeing the truth of who someone is. Like that's word like namaste, right? The God in me sees and recognizes the God in you. And we look beyond the behavior. We don't ignore the pain. And also, I hear from a lot of my students, and adults, I can forgive, but I can't forget. And while that is true, are we remembering it with resentment? Are we remembering it with a lot of negative emotions attached to that? Because if we are, then we haven't freed our own consciousness. To use a teaching from Buddha, right? This is the perfect where he says, holding on to resentment and anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to feel the pain and or die. We're the ones holding on to the resentment and the pain and the anger. Okay, the only way to release that is there's nothing they can do, because how many times have people apologized to us at some point and we still choose not to forgive them because we think that's what's best in the moment? But that just keeps us enchained to that anger, attached to, and then what do we know? What we hold dear in our hearts shows up in our environment, in our circumstances. In our conditions. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So again, the forgiveness that the cross shows us is to transcend the anger, to transcend the hate, the lack, and we make room for a greater level. And we may, again, our identity may not know what that looks like. And that's where spiritual practice helps. Meditation opens our mind. And that funny thing that we like to call mental equivalence, when we do release an idea, when we shift this idea from forgiveness, Now there's a void. What are we going to put into that void? Well, we know through science of mind, well, we can only receive the greatest idea that we can entertain. So do we even have a program, a belief system on forgiveness? And what does it look like? What does it feel like? What are the benefits from it? Because if we don't see it as a benefit, we're certainly not going to allow that as part of our identity. We're going to shift and continue to think that holding on to that pain is beneficial. And so the question would be, again, to prepare for, well, what comes after? If I forgive this person for X, Y, and Z, what does that look like? Well, it looks like peace. It looks like inner peace. And where there is peace, there is unconditional love, because it's not attached to conditions. I'll forgive you, but no, that is not unconditional love. I can't forget that you did that. And again, we have memory. We can understand something happened. But when I come from love, I look beyond it, and I'm able then to see how I've moved through that. And at some level, right, if it happened through me, then it benefited me. Right? Now, the last part, step 3, really is the idea that this idea of crucifixion, it's not like an end. People look at it as the climax of the story of the Bible, right? And again, it doesn't. Going back to this idea of mental equivalence, it's, okay, here's something new I recognize. All right, there's this change going on. I didn't ask for it, but here I am. It could be the loss of a relationship. It could be an unwanted health condition. It could be the loss of a job. It could be my company asked me up to move. Again, holding on to it through fear, we stay limited. We stay in lack. But now, with a mental equivalent, I have this idea of imagination, as we talked about all last month. What is birthing through me that wants to be known? We call this practice visioning. What does it look like? And so it's important to have a story in our minds, and we can play in our imagination to create that story. Otherwise, we kind of just stay in our comfort zone. And there's a cute story I wanted to share that exemplifies this, which is, there was a man, he's walking along a beach, and down far away, he sees this figure casting out, a fishing line into the water. And as he gets, he can see every now and then the gentleman's catching fish. And from what he can see, they're pretty good size. And yet, as he's watching him more and more and more, the gentleman, the fisherman, will catch a big fish, and he looks up and he lays it down. He's got this table next to him, and he lays it down, and then he throws it back in. And then sometimes, although he notices the ones that he keeps, they seem a little smaller. And so the closer and closer he gets, he realizes that there's a frying pan on this table next to him. And every time the man catches a fish, he puts it over the frying pan. And if it's, a certain size, he throws it back. So he's got to ask. He's like, "Sir, I've been watching you for a while, and it seems like, you seem to be throwing the fish of bigger sizes away back in the water. What's going on?" And he says, "Well, this is the frying pan that I use to cook at home. And if they're too big, then it won't fit in the frying pan. So I throw them back until I find one that fits." Now, obviously, it's a funny way of looking at, but we do this all the time. Things show up to us and we think, we stay small. So this is all we can handle. This is our mental equivalent. But through a crucifixion of sort, an opportunity of growth, life is asking us to upsize our cookingware, really, is what it's asking us to do. Now, another important part of the crucifixion is the transformation, the resurrection. But this happens first in the story, is that Jesus was brought down after his physical body, after his death, and he was put in a cave, a tomb. And I want to liken this idea, metaphorically, of the tomb is that space between the becoming. Because the biblical story, after 3 days, Jesus was then seen walking amongst his friends. that he overcame, which is the biggest fear for most of us, death, physical death. Well, we can use this metaphorically, we can use this metaphysically, and the idea of that, we go through this gestation period of becoming, of switching from the old energy, the old identity, the old circumstances, and pulling the power away from those because we're now putting them towards what we want, towards spiritual truth, and allow the transformation, allow the resurrection to happen. And what are we resurrecting? We are resurrecting really the truth of who we are, that we had covered it up with this identity, with this falsehood. Now, we're not doing anything wrong. This is the life that we have come to learn and understand, to recognize our own divinity from different points of view, right? And so it has to take place naturally. It has to happen one step at a time. And, that tomb is another way of looking at it, would be like the cocoon, right? In that period of becoming, the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, another perfect story of, although the caterpillar isn't necessarily crucified, it has its own crucifixion in a way. It literally dies to its current identity fully, and then in that cocoon literally becomes goo, and then the DNA reforms itself, and it knows this. It just allows it to happen, right? But for us, we want to skip the hard part. We want to just kind of push through, like suck it up and I'll get through this. No, it only happens through allowance, not through aggression or pressure. We have to allow ourselves to naturally release whatever is blocking this new life that is coming through us. And it's not, again, I keep saying new life as if it's a new awareness of the truth of the life that we are. And are we willing to walk that path? Another example came yesterday. So I was working on my phone and I was trying to get something to work, and it was slow. God forbid it didn't happen instantly, right? And I just kept tapping away. And then I'm figuring like Joe, you realize tapping harder or faster is not going to make it. It has to happen when it's going to happen, right? And I was liking that to, our steps through transformation. Sometimes we just try to aggressively get through it. What's step 2? What's step 3? And we don't enjoy the journey. And I know that may sound counterproductive if we're in pain, but it's not until we accept the pain for what it is that we then allow it to go, because the more we hold on to something, the more we keep it within our own energy, our vibration, our circumstances and conditions. All right. So that's, the other part I wanted to say is, and I'm going to turn the cross backwards, and you've seen this example before, but another way of looking at this is the divine meets us in our reality here, the physical life right here. This is here and now. This is the moment that is forever now presenting itself to us. And there is always a shifting consciousness about what that now is and who we are in it. And so I know we want the resurrection, but we can't kind of skip the cross. And what do I mean by that? We can't skip the hard times. And the hard times are only hard because we're, and I'm going to use the word, ignorant of the truth. Now, ignorant just means we don't know what we don't know, right? Modern days, I was thinking too, is because I was thinking about how Amazon used to have everything was overnight, and now it's not. It's like, what? Like it takes 2 days to arrive instead of 1? And I was like, yeah, that's our idea of transformation. Like, I want it now. I want it. If it's not going to come easy, I don't want it. And well, guess what? It's worth it. It's worth the wait. It's worth the journey. And you're not alone in doing this. If we believe we're alone, then again, we're coming from that fear, lack, and limitation. And so today being Easter Sunday, let us focus on the whole journey. Yes, there is a death awaiting for us all, not physical, but transformative. And there is a resurrection awaiting for us all. A resurrecting of the truth of who we are. Let that light shine. It's part of why we're here. And as we go through our own, right, we unconsciously show others the process. It's about releasing the identity that no longer serves us. It's about releasing our attachment to and forgiveness, forgiving others in spite of what they have done. Again, we're not saying they didn't hurt us. They did. And what are we going to do with that? How can we? If we're not sure, that's why we pray. That's why we meditate. That's why we reach out to our practitioners and spiritual coaches and ministers. We free ourselves consciously. Okay? Heaven and hell are states of consciousness. So let's walk in heaven together. Let's ask ourselves, what are we called to do? What is seeking to be released? And how may I do that in the most loving and special way? All right. And so let's practice this with our affirmation, which is aligned with that perfectly. Thank you, Marina. You can make that nice and big so everyone can see it. And this is practice. This is affirmative. We are affirming. I release what no longer serves me, and I rise into a greater expression of life. Now, if we said that 100 times a day, how would that show up in our conditions? Remember, in order to change our conditions, we're going to have that change, that in essence, that crucifixion, but there's always a resurrection. All right, so let us pray and knowing together and affirming that we are already that which we are seeking to be. And we recognize our current state of ignorance, and we release that to the knowing of truth. That as Jesus proclaimed, I and the Father are one. What does that mean for me? That means to me that the divine power and the presence that has created this entire universe, the reality, everything I know, and myself is who and what I am. And I'm having this amazing human experience of living as if I don't know who I truly am. And it's a journey of uncovering the breadcrumbs and remembering the truth that I am love itself expressing, that I am unconditional love expressing. And as I open myself, my identity deeper and deeper to this truth, that I know by law, my outer circumstances and conditions must change as well. I recognize there's a gap. It's not instant. And so I hold fast to the truth of who and what I am. And as I know this truth for myself, I recognize it for every life on this planet, every being, every one who can hear my voice, every one who is willing to practice the truth. And I know that all paths must lead to divine source, because that is all that is truly expressing. And we may get it, we will call it in human ways wrong at times, but there really is no wrong. It's all coming back from our understanding. And I know that I shift my understanding to the truth of the divine, that it is here and now. And I celebrate this resurrection, this day, and every day of the who and what I am. I am so grateful for our spiritual community in St. George, CSL St. George. I'm grateful for its leadership. I'm grateful for every member and all the friends that support it. I'm grateful for the Masonic Lodge, who in this moment is doing some work within it to assist us to have a better place. We are grateful for that. We are grateful for knowing that truth will always show up in the perfect way for each of us individually. How great life is, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Reverend Joe.
My pleasure, my dear friend. Thank you.
I'm going to have to go out and buy me a bigger skillet.
Exactly, right?
I don't think I'm recognizing how big my truth is. But, that was a great message.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, there's a song lyric right there for you, Alan.
Yeah.
I don't know how big my truth is. That's a country song.
Yeah. Do you guys, where you're from, you say frying pan or skillet?
Back east, frying pan.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not from the
that's-
South. I'm from New York.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you. And you'll be seeing everybody here on top of the hour in the Zoom
Yes.
meeting.
Yep. Join
Okay.
us, please. Have a
Thanks
wonderful
again.
communication.
Thank you, Rev Joe. Well, there you go. We all have that truth in us. We need to sit down and recognize it a little more. And part of that truth is that our prosperity at the center is excellent, doing really well. And we appreciate everybody that's participating in growing that. And there's many ways that you can do it. You can give through Zelle. You can give online, that PayPal, and or you can just send a check or scan that QR code. There's many ways. We appreciate you participating with us as we grow this center in St. George. And we have an affirmation for that offering. And if you'd like to, you could read along. I am overflowing with love and abundance. I give from the source of my being, which is rich and unlimited. With joy and excitement, I share from this overflow. In return, the universe gives back to me in infinite ways, channels and means. And so it is. Hey, so it is. So our upcoming services next week, of course, is our in-person service, the 12th, which also includes our annual meeting. We look forward to you. You come, members going to vote on some stuff, but you don't need to be a member to come see what's going on with this. So you're welcome to come along. And then the following week on the 19th, be Rev Joe again online, with the subject being listening beyond the noise of the world. So that sounds pretty interesting. So we're going to have a little video here. We'd like to play some more music for you, and we're all going to come forward and enjoy it with you. So we're going to get everybody up here. Thank you all very much for joining us today.
Each and every moment, I remember who I am. I show up uniquely in the world in the way that only I can. I keep my thoughts clear, I create my own day. I know that there is power in every word I say. I show up, I glow up with every word I speak. I take it day by day and do it all again next week. I am abundant, I am free, I am love, I am me, I am joy, I am the light of the sun, I know who I am, and that we are one.
Yeah. See you all
We are
next
one.
week. Thank you.
Love you, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Namaste, my friends.
Namaste. Happy Easter.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Goodbye, everyone.